After years of constantly failing to be consistent with my diet, I figured this thing out and I want to share it with you, okay? Because it took me a long time. I went through a lot of trials and tribulations and I struggled a lot, I'll be honest. And everything that I learned online, everything like the videos, the articles, they didn't really seem to help me. And there wasn't a lot of like detailed ways of actually trying to be consistent and actually become that new version of yourself. So I was like, you know what? I've been able to stay consistent with my diet and I love my diet right now. I was like, let me just see how can I help others, okay? And I've been getting a lot of questions from like my clients, my friends, different people, and they've been struggling to be consistent with their diet. So this video is for you, okay? So before I start, make sure to take notes and remember, watch it all the way to the end and apply everything I say, okay? Because if you're not gonna apply, then what's the point, okay? I need you to apply everything I say. And, because your brain got you where you are right now, okay? So trust my brain and apply everything I say. Now, let's get into it. So the most important thing, and I already put it in the correct order, right? We have the identity, right? So before we have to be consistent, the identity is the most important aspect, okay? And the identity applies to everything. If you want to do like a new business, you want to get to like a new fitness goal, your diet, the identity is the most important part, okay? Because if you don't get this part right, nothing is going to stick and you're going to eventually go back to the older version of yourself, okay? So, boom. The first part, we have the identity, and I don't know if you read the book 48 Laws of Power, Law 25, it says recreate yourself, okay? So, the way we're going to get into this is you have to recreate yourself, and the first thing that we're going to do is aligning your identity with your goal, right? So I pretty much align my identity with my goals. Because if I want to be, let's just say I want to have a six-pack and I want to have a great diet and I want to eat, I cannot have the identity of a person who still like eats the garbage food that everyone is eating. Or I cannot have the identity of someone who's like kind of takes his fitness seriously, kind of takes his diet seriously, goes to the gym for the vibes, he's not really all about it. And my identity is still a person who's just doing the actions, but I don't see myself like that. I'm not that person yet. So it's going to be such a huge constraint for me to stay consistent with the habits that I got to do, right? So the first thing that we got to do is to update your identity, right? Staying consistent, as I said here, it becomes effortless when you change your identity because there is no constraint. You're just updated your self-image and you can actually apply everything. And because you see yourself as a person who does those things. You trust yourself, you know that you're capable of doing those things and you're going to do it. You're going to be consistent because your self-image, your identity is a new version of you, a person who takes care of himself and everything just flows. Everything flows and you have no difficulties. How do you view yourself? Do you think, are you able to do this? Like, do you have a lot of limiting beliefs? You have to update your self-image and you have to see, like, do you see yourself as a person who's capable? Do you have confidence? Do you trust in your abilities? All these things matters because if you constantly put yourself down, if you constantly doubt your abilities, nothing is going to happen, okay? So you have to update your self-image. And one thing I noticed, all the people that you see, they have like crazy bodies, they're crazy with their like diets and they're super consistent. Everybody is a human. Nobody is different. Nobody is different. Everybody has got the same brain, the same physical like traits, whatever that you have, right? They may have a little bit cultural differences or whatever, but if you really want to do it, you can do this. Nobody has some crazy superpower. Yeah, people may be slightly leaner, maybe they'll be like more body fat, but at the end of the day, if you really want it, you can get it. 100%. And this applies to everything, okay? So you need to ask yourself, how do you view yourself? Write it down and see, do I actually think I can do this? Because if you doubt yourself, you're not going to be able to progress, right? And you have to understand that people do this. If other people have done it, then you can do it too. So you have to update that self-image aspect too, because that's a huge constraint for a lot of people, okay? Now, another thing that I'm going to talk about is the I'm not a smoker versus I don't smoke type people, right? You know, like some people say, I want to quit smoking, right? So some person says, I'm not a smoker. The other person, I don't smoke, right? The I'm not a smoker person has shifted his identity. He doesn't see himself as a smoker. Even if he smokes once, he still doesn't see himself as a smoker, so it's going to be way easier for him to stay consistent with that. But the person who says, I don't smoke, He still sees himself as a smoker, but he just says, for now, I'm not going to smoke. He's just waiting for a moment. He's like, oh man, I fell out. And it's the same thing with your diet. Are you a person who's a fit person who takes care of his diet and nutrition? Or you're a person that just eats clean for now? You have to change your identity and become that I'm not a smoker person, but for diet, for your training, for other aspects of your life, right? Because when you change your identity, the habits just stick way better. Okay, now the last part, and this is super important that I want to mention because a lot of people seem to not understand this. Sacrificing, everything has a price. So the new version of yourself has a price that you have to pay for. You cannot live the same way and expect a different result. You know the Einstein quote, right? Like doing the same thing and expecting a different result is insanity, right? So you have to sacrifice your old self. You have to sacrifice maybe different habits, maybe some foods, in order to get a certain result, okay? So everything has a price, and you need to understand you cannot get something without giving something. You have to drill that in your mind. And once again, all these principles, they're just not about diet, they're not about training, they're about everything, about business, about work. Like this applies to everything, about your career. Like genuinely, it applies to every single thing that you want to make progress in, right? You have to pay a price. So you have to ask yourself, am I willing to pay this price to become my new healthy version, to become my new fit person, a person who always eats clean, eats healthy, and I set an example for my siblings, my kids, my relatives, my friends? You have to ask that yourself, and you have to commit to that version of yourself, because you have to, at the end of the day, pay a price. Maybe not now, but maybe later on you're going to pay it with your health. So you have to ask that question from yourself and be honest with yourself, okay? So now we go lower, we have the why. You have to have a why, okay? So, number one, you have to be fed up and dissatisfied with your situation. Like, aren't you tired of like struggling with like not being able to eat clean? Be honest. How many times have you failed your diet? I've been there. You know how many times? Like, probably hundreds of times. I've had like I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this diet. I'm gonna do this diet. I'm gonna eat this. I'm gonna eat that. I failed. So many times I failed, and every time I felt I was just becoming so dissatisfied and like so more fed up, I just had enough. And after a good amount of time that you constantly go through these trials and tribulations, you're like, man, is that pizza even worth it? Like, I just gained like a pleasure for 5 seconds and it's nothing. It's genuinely nothing. Like, it does absolutely nothing to my like life. That one pizza, that 10 seconds of pleasure, it's gonna set you back. It's gonna set you back for like weeks. Because you know what a lot of people do? They eat that pizza, and yeah, people can say, oh, I just have like one slice of pizza. I've heard that before, right? But people end up eating 3, 4, 5, 6 slices because they had that one slice. And then the next day, they're like, oh, you know what? Yesterday, on Saturday, I had like a lot of pizza. Today is Sunday. Let me just have some, more burgers and stuff. And next week, when I start on Monday, I'm going to start a new diet. You've done it. You know probably people have done it. I know people who've done it. I've done it past myself, So those small things can make a huge difference, and it can absolutely destroy your momentum. So you have to be fed up of that, and you have to be dissatisfied, because the more dissatisfied you are, the more you're going to be able to push through these difficult phases and actually recreate your new version, okay? So the second part, and this is super important, for who do you want to do, right? So for me, I noticed like some people say, oh, I just want to do it for health and stuff. It didn't really, it just didn't really attract me that much, right? Like I wasn't really fazed by it, right? But I want you to be honest. Do you have kids? Do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a girlfriend? Or somebody that you care, your parents? Somebody that, if you're a better version of yourself, a healthier version, they're going to be happier. You're going to impact them way more, right? Or you're going to be more satisfied within yourself. So for me, a lot of people just bullshit. A lot of guys say, oh, just do it for my health. I do it for girls. I want to have like a beautiful wife, so I want to look the part. I want to be a man that's like truly of that caliber. And I think having a great body is one of those things that you need. So I want to be that guy. You know what I mean? So I'm not afraid just saying I'm doing it for girls. I don't care. Of course, the health is one of the benefits, but I want to have a beautiful wife. And this is part of the prerequisites for me, at least for my standards, that I have to be a man of a certain caliber. So I want to do this. And this is for who? My future wife, right? So you have to see who's your who, right? So you have to identify who are you doing this for, right? Because a lot of people, every time we say like, oh, it's just for me, most of the times you're going to fall back because you just don't care. You're like, I don't mind reading my life, right? So you have to have like a person that you constantly strive for, somebody you want to like impact their life, right? So for me, I want to do it for my future wife. That's my reason. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to do it for your future wife or your future husband if you're a girl? So you have to ask that yourself. And this is super important. This is like absolutely important. Knowing what you want. Are you clear? Do you even know what you want? Some people are like, oh, I just want to lose weight. Or I just want to lose fat. How much weight do you want to lose? By what time do you want to lose? Like you have to identify and you have to be clear and concise with every single part of this. So if you don't know where you're going and when do you want to be there, we're not going to get there. We're not going to get there. So you have to ask yourself, okay, I want to be, let's just say I'm 200 pounds, right? You want to say, oh, I'm 200 pounds, I want to be 170. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. You want to get to 170 pounds. Do you care about having muscle? You just want to lose weight? Or you want to actually drop body weight, drop body fat, and also gain muscle? So that those processes make a huge difference, and everything has a different approach because you cannot just do the same thing for everything, right? So you have to understand, okay, what do I want actually? Do I just want to lose weight? Like, do I care about muscle? Some people don't. Some people just want to be like losing body weight and that's it. Some guys, they want to have a lot of muscle and they want to have low body fat. So all these things have different approaches, and you have to ask yourself like, okay, what do I want? That's so important because if you don't know where you're going, then it's absolutely pointless. Absolutely pointless. And also decide, when do you want to achieve this? In 6 months, 3 months, a year? Because different goals have different timelines. And also depends on your level of dissatisfaction because, again, everything is connected, right? So understand that when you're clear, if you set a plan properly towards that goal, it's just going to flow perfectly. Notice pretty much 95% of the things that I'm talking about, it's not even necessarily about the diet itself. It's about the principles, okay? These principles apply to everything. And when you learn this type of stuff, you can pretty much just move them to different areas of your life. Honestly, genuinely. Like a lot of these traits, a lot of these fundamentals, they're applicable to so many parts of your life. It can be your business. So if you like actually master this, you can transfer them to so many different aspects. Because of this discipline that I've attained from the fitness part of my life, I've been able to transfer from my work to my work and other aspects, to my relationships. So it's been a great way to drill that in my brain, and I've been able to make way more progress because I wasn't as good at like staying consistent with my diet right now than like a couple of years ago. I was struggling a lot. Like I had like crazy binge eating problems, and I just couldn't stick to something. I just couldn't. But when I figured out the identity part and the why part, it massively helped me. So I want you to take your time and also take notes and write down a lot of things that comes to your mind, because the discussions and the conversations that you're going to have with yourself is one of the most important things, right? So the last thing I'm going to say, because this actually, I feel like it helps me a lot, is visualizing how you're going to feel when you have that dream body of yours, right? So imagine you put yourself in that state and you're like, okay, let me see. I'm like, let's just say the 200-pound guy example, right? I'm 170 pounds. I'm lean. I got 6 packs. I'm just looking good. I'm feeling amazing. How does that feel? How does that feel to be that person? How are people going to treat you? Go there. Like feel that in your mind and visualize it, because it feels amazing. There is this book that I read. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics, right? And in that book, it stated that there was this one golfer that before the games, he used to visualize him making shots. Like whenever they hit the ball or whatever, all of them was going in. It was just in his mind, he was rehearsing the whole thing. And whenever it came to the actual game, even though he practiced way less than the other people, the other golfers, he performed way better because he spent a lot of time visualizing. Because of his body already felt and knew kind of how to do it. He put himself already there. That's the quickest way of putting yourself to a level of success, like for you, you know, like let's just say your success to you is getting to like 170 pounds, right? For example, if you visualize that constantly and understand how you're going to feel in that moment, whenever you actually want to apply those things in real life, it's going to feel way better. And you're going to know like, oh yeah, when I get there, I'm going to feel that way. I'm going to feel that confident. I'm going to be looking good. I'm going to be healthy. That's why I want you to visualize those things. And later on, whenever I was telling the golf example, a lot of golfers, before they even play games, they do those visualizing. So the visualization is now like a big thing in golf, because a lot of them are actually just trying to copy because it worked, like it actually works. And a lot of people are like, why not? I'm going to do it too, you know? So A lot of athletes are actually doing this. Like, I don't know if you watch UFC, John Jones, he's like he's arguably the best fighter ever in the UFC, and he does that. He visualizes himself like knocking out the people, or like he visualizes himself in a way like he walks into the cage, like what visualizes certain outcomes. Like, it works. You may think it's cringy or whatever, but trust me, it works. And there is a reason I'm telling you, visualize and go there, because you're gonna definitely know, okay, if I feel this way, imagine I feel like this every single day. How would your life feel? Imagine you have a six-pack every single day if you're a guy. If you're lean, if you're looking good, how would that feel? Go there. Now that we finished the why section, the sustainability. The sustainability is a huge thing for many people, because, a lot of people just cannot stick to anything, okay? So, are you optimizing for short term or the long term? Ask yourself, because if you're short term, most of the times, unless if you're like a pro bodybuilder or something, or like an athlete, or you want to get like a certain body fat percentage for a competition, most of the people, the short term thing is just not going to work for them. You're going to crash, okay? So if you can't stick to it, then it's pointless. Absolutely pointless. So ask yourself, what kind of things that you can have in your diet that you can have forever? You genuinely can have forever. For me, I know those things. I can have eggs forever, steak, honey, fruits, those kind of things, butter. I can have them forever. I don't care. I can have them forever. I wouldn't get tired, because I pretty much have it every single day. So ask yourself, I know for a fact there are some things that you can eat every single day and you can have it forever. But this doesn't give you the opportunity to like start eating weird bad food, right? Because there's some bad food out there that you're like, oh, I like this. I like a lot of like, pizza or whatever. I like burgers, McDonald's burgers. And I can eat it every day. Yeah, you can eat it, but is it actually what you want to eat, right? So the foods that you can love, they can change. Like the things that you like, they can definitely change. And you know what's the reason? Your brain is not used to it. If you're constantly adding a lot of sugar to your drinks, you're eating like crazy refined carbs, all these fast food, sweets, like ice creams and all those type of things, your dopamine receptors are just going to be not used to real food. They're just not. So when you eat like healthy food, you're going to think, oh, it's not tasty. But your brain is just not used to it. You've trained your body to like actually like this processed weird garbage. So you have to experience a phase of kind of like not super enjoying those healthy foods, because I went through that phase. I felt, especially last year when I was kind of going on the low carb diet, I struggled a lot to kind of enjoy the healthy food or the type of food that I wanted to eat, right? Like the eggs, the beef, those kind of things. It was super hard because I felt like something is missing. But it was just my brain was used to it, because I ate rice and bread so much that I was like, this is not normal, right? Like I feel like something is wrong. But no, you just get used to it because your brain is not used to it. And when you're constantly eating rice and bread and pasta and all this processed other stuff, or like crazy sweets and cakes and all these type of things, cookies, Oreos, all these things for years and years and years, 10, 15 years, 20 years, it takes time to build that healthy connection with healthy foods. You know what I mean? It takes time. You cannot just build it in a month. It takes time. But you have to realize the moment that phase passes by, healthy food is going to be so enjoyable, and you're going to be like, wait, this is actually enjoyable. I love this. And this applies to even the entertainment that you consume. Because a lot of people like constantly consume like short form content, like reels, YouTube shorts, TikToks, and that fries your brain. And if you want to read a book, if you want to actually watch like a 3-hour movie, your brain is not going to handle it. You're going to feel like something is missing. But is it the fault of the book? Is it the fault of the 3-hour movie? Or it's your brain? Or it's your addiction to the scrolling to short form content? So it's the same thing with food. It's the addiction to like bad and processed food is holding you back to actually to have like build a healthy connection with healthy food. It's your brain, it's not the food, it's your connection to them. When you constantly scroll for hours on TikTok, your brain is going to be fried. Obviously, you're not going to enjoy reading one sentence in a book. Your brain is just going to be like going to different places. You're going to have like a crazy ADHD brain. So the moment you quit those things, your brain is going to be forced to like the regular things, the regular food that is supposed to be healthy, not the garbage food that constantly stimulates your dopamine levels and you just get addicted to it, because it's all chemically engineered in a way so you get hooked. So you have to commit to that and actually understand, like, okay, it's an addiction and I have to put it away and I have to build a great relationship with healthy food, because it takes time. Again, remember I said you cannot remove this bad connection with the toxic foods after like 10, 15, 20 years. It just takes time. That's just how it is. So you have to be patient and you have to apply everything I say. Now, The main thing that I want you to understand is that prioritizing the long term is key. Even if you want to have like a goal for like in 3 months, you want to lose like 20 pounds, right? If you optimize for that 3 months and go all out and do like a crazy crash diet, you're going to fail later on. So you ask yourself, what kind of a long-term diet that I can have that I can still do in 3 months in order for me to get to that result? So let's just say I want to get to like 170 pounds. I'm just going to keep using this like imaginary guy, right? He wants to get to 170 pounds and he has 2,000 calories, right? So he needs to drop like 300 calories. He goes to like 1,700 to get to that 170 pounds, right? So instead of just completely changing his diet, he's going to eat the same things, but it's just going to reduce the amount a little bit in order to get to that goal. So your diet technically doesn't change because of your goal. It's just the amount. You tweak it a little bit here and there to get there. Because me personally, I used to change completely. My diet was completely shifting the moment I wanted to like hit like a different goal, right? But now I want you to see it like the diet that you're eating, eat it, but just bring the amount a little bit lower. Because the moment you want to gain weight after that, then you can just add more calories. But your body's used to the same healthy food. You're not changing anything. You're just slowly changing the amount. That's about it. And it makes the game so much easier because imagine you're eating everything you like. You just bring the amount a little bit lower because of your goals. That's it. That's the secret for me. That's how I was able to crack it, right? Because the moment you start changing the ingredients, it just messes up your hormones and stuff. So if you're able to maintain the ingredients the same, you keep eating the same things, and you just drop the amounts a little bit here and there, it's going to be so much easier, okay? Now, as I mentioned before, do not do a crash diet because it's the recipe for disaster, and you're going to end up going back to your older eating habits. Because the moment you do a crash diet, you're like, okay, I'm just going to eat 1,000 calories every day. I'm going to cut down everything. I'm just going to have like, 2 protein shakes every day. Bro, you're going to go back to your older habits. You're going to destroy your body because it's not sustainable. Do you see yourself having 2 protein shakes and that's it forever? No, obviously no. So eventually you're going to go back to your older habits and you're going to gain all that weight that you lost. Plus, most likely, you're going to gain an extra couple pounds. This happened to like 90-95% of the people, and it happened to me. They do a crash diet, and then after the crash diet, they just end up in a worse situation. They end up binge eating, and their hormones are messed up, their hunger levels are messed up. It's just an absolute shit show. So you don't want to be there, okay? Now, another thing that I also mentioned is do not constantly change your diet. Stick to a diet, okay? And diet, what I mean is like the ingredients that you use, right? For me, it's like I'm on a low-carb diet. The things that I mentioned, like, meat, eggs, fruits, honey, those kind of things, I usually have it, and I don't really change ingredients. It's like usually the same stuff. I'm not going to add like crazy amounts of bread and pasta. I'm like, oh, let me just do a vegan diet. It just absolutely messes up your whole digestive system and your relationship with food, and also the reaction that your brain has to eat those foods. So if I just right now stop doing this low-carb diet and just go on like a high-carb diet, my brain is going to be like, what the heck is this? I'm just going to be like, my brain is not going to be working. I'm going to be struggling with my weight. Like, it's just going to be a messed up situation. So you don't want to change the ingredients all the time. You want to be consistent. Maybe once every couple of months, you can change some stuff here, because if you're able actually to stay consistent and not change your diet and the ingredients, it's going to be so much easier to understand what's wrong with sometimes certain ingredients kind of like hold you back. Like for me, like there was a period I thought oatmeal is helping me, right? But I was like, damn, like I'm eating oatmeal in the morning, my brain just gets fried. Like I can't think straight. I had like insane brain fog because of like oatmeal. So I was like, okay, let me just remove the oatmeal. Let me just have only eggs. I was like, it works way better. I don't have that brain fog. So boom, that was it. That's the only change I made, right? But a lot of people, they just completely change everything and it just messes up their whole system and their progress. So do not do that, okay? Now, this is an absolutely important part that we're going to get to, and it's your limiting beliefs. Okay, because you see, a lot of people have these limiting beliefs. Their beliefs are holding themselves back, right? So, number one, the first limiting belief that you may have is healthy food is not tasty. False, 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 false. Your dopamine receptors are fried because of all the garbage food that you've been eating for 15, 20 years. So of course you're not going to feel pleasure when you're eating healthy food. Of course, because your brain is not used to it. Remember the book example and the TikTok example? The people who scroll on TikTok for hours, they're not going to enjoy reading a book. Is it the book's fault? No, it's people's that use TikToks, right? So understand that healthy food is tasty. It's just your dopamine receptors. You are the issue, okay? The food is not the issue. You are the issue. So you have to understand that and remove that belief from yourself, because Healthy food is actually great and it's tasty if you're creative, okay? Now, another thing I mentioned, let me go down so you guys don't read it too much. There we go. So you're like, oh, I can't do it, I can't quit, or I can't do this without even trying. So you automatically come to a conclusion without even trying. And trying, I don't mean just trying once. Because some people try something once and they're like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to do this. It's just too hard. It's just too hard. Try 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Then you can say, oh, you know what? It's actually a bit hard for me. You know how many times I felt with my diet? You will be surprised. You will be surprised. Like I felt probably like 15, 20, 30 times like throughout my journey. Like constantly I committed to myself. I was like, I'm going to do this time. But I failed. And I'm not scared to say it because I failed a lot of the times. But I was like, I'm not giving up. I'm going to find a solution because I knew at the end of the tunnel there is light. But some of you guys quit like after like trying once. I hope that's not you. I hope that's not you, because if you do that, most of the times you're not going to make any progress in anything, genuinely. So you have to have like an iron mind, and you have to understand, like, listen, without trying actually a good couple times, at least 5-10 times or something, whatever you're doing, you cannot come to a proper conclusion, because you number one, you don't know your skills. Number two, you don't know what are your constraints. And number three, you haven't even given it enough time to understand what's going on. So this is what happens with a lot of people in different aspects of their life, even with business. They just fail at business and they're like, you know what, this is not for me. Maybe if you tried it the 4th time, this business would take your life to the next level. But you're just not patient. You're not willing to go through the trials and the tribulations, the difficulties, the obstacles. And this is the same thing. The diet is the same thing. Can you go through those phases? Ask yourself that. Now, this is my favorite part, and I want you to pay attention a lot to this part, okay? I hear this a lot. I want balance. What's balance? Balance for me means average. Simple. So balance, you want balance? Okay, balance means average. Okay, let me put you on some stuff. If you want the average American body, then have balance. Your choice. Out of every 10 people, about 4 to 5 of them are overweight or obese. Those are the people who have balance, right? There we go. So, let me just go here. Yeah, there we go. So out of every 10 people, about half of them are overweight or obese in America. And it's going to get worse. Trust me, it's going to get worse, because, yeah, it's absolutely not looking good. So if you want to have balance, feel free. You can have your balance, but understand what's going to be the result. All the amazing results that you want, all the great physical attributes that you want, and all the consistency with your diet and your nutrition, all these things, it's not balance. There is no balance. Because if you have balance, you're going to end up in average result. Simple. That's just the hard truth. And if you want to have an outstanding health, because I think everybody, actually no, not I think, I believe, everybody should strive to have a great body, a great health, and great diet, right? That should be the standard of yourself. Because you have people to set an example for. You have a responsibility to be healthy for your family. Do you want to be a burden for your family? No. I know your answer, then it's no. So why not become the best version of yourself? Why not have like an elite physical health and shape? Why not? If you're living on Earth, the odds of that is absolutely crazy, like 1 in millions. The odds of you living on this planet is 1 in millions. So why not maximize your opportunity and become your best, okay? So if you want to get those results of the crazy healthy people, amazing diet, you need to go extreme. You need to go extreme and not follow the average balanced diet, because you're just going to get average results. Simple. If you want to go out and people yeah, wow, you're impressive. Wow, I'm shocked. Your health is impressive. You're 55 and you're looking like this. They're looking great. I've seen some people that are 55, 60, 65, 70. They're fitter than me. I'm like, how? And it's just their commitment to themselves, themselves, they completely killed their old version, and the person that they are now is absolutely amazing. Their diet is on point, their training, they look amazing, and they're an actual great example for their family, for the people they love. And I want you to be that person. I want you to be that person, and you cannot get there if you're just following the balanced advice, because you're going to get the average results. Simple as that. So understand that having balance, again, if you want the average results, you can have balance. It's your choice. Simple. Now, another thing I see, trusting the fat doctors, aka also like the government guidelines, right? So if you want to actually stay average, follow the government advice and the government guidelines or whatever, the fat doctors, you know? Let's actually show some of the examples, right? Like, I'm not bullshitting. Example, the food pyramid. You see the picture? The food pyramid was in the 90s, the 70s or whatever. It was created during those times. And they said eggs and fats and all those things, protein is bad. They were just giving people the grains and all the bread and all this stuff, and then the vegetables and a little bit of fruits, a little bit of butter, and barely any meat. That's the diet they were promoting, right? What happened right after they promoted this food pyramid? American obesity. Shh. So if you want to get that result, then feel free. You can follow the food pyramid. Feel free. It's free out there. You can just definitely whatever you want to learn. And this is government approved. So if you want to get that result, you can actually apply it. It's your choice, right? Another thing, the same people that promote this food pyramid, they were promoting seed oils, vegetable oils. You know, like the canola oil and all those things. Those are the reasons that people have cholesterol issues, not eggs. Those things are bad. Vegetable oils, canola oil, seed oils, all those things. They are the reason people have cholesterol issues. All those oils that they use in fast food places, that's the reason. Another thing, government, your favorite fat doctors, they were the people who said fats are bad. They were demonizing the fats in butter, the fats in eggs, the fats in meat. Guess what happened after they started demonizing it? American obesity and health declined. American health went down and the obesity went up. Because of what? Because of the great advice. Such a phenomenal advice that we're giving to people, right? And they want the best for people, right? Like I know you for a fact that you know the government wants the best for people, right? Yeah. The grain movement. I wasn't born in the 70s, but there is a lot of ads back in the old days. They were saying a cereal a day or whatever you need, or like they were promoting all these grain breakfasts. Why? Have you ever asked that? They were demonizing fats at the same time and they were promoting grains. Maybe money was involved. But like, maybe it's like actually the health, right? At the time they had so much grain, America was producing so much grains. They were like, we have to kind of make profit on this. The grain industry, the grain parties, like in the government, the lobbies, they were like, we have to make profit. So they started promoting grains and they started demonizing fats and protein. They were like, just started promoting bread and cereal because they were producing a lot. Because at the time they were exporting a lot of this to other countries, but then other countries started growing them for themselves, and they had a lot of extra crop. So they're like, let's just sell to Americans. Why not? So they started do some crazy marketing campaigns. They demonized fats, and grains were finally on your table. The healthy breakfast, the oatmeal, the bread, all those things that they're necessary for you. That's how they came from. So again, if you want to trust the government, feel free. The last one, tap water. Another thing that the government says it's safe. And we all know it's BS. It's bullshit, right? So if you want to drink tap water every day, your health is going to absolutely decline. And if you're a guy, I feel sorry for yourself because your testosterone levels are going to they're going to tank for sure. Absolutely, they're going to tank if you constantly drink tap water. So this is something that also the government, they say, okay. So the reason I provided all these examples for you is that just because the government says something, it doesn't mean it's good. Do you think they have the best intentions for you? Because from all these examples, and these are some of the smallest examples that I just came to my mind from the food industry and the health industry that I put here, but they do these things in different industries. So understand that they don't want the best for you. They want you to be sick. That's how the medical companies and all those things, they make profit, right? They want you to be sick. I'm sure they know what's the best thing for humans. They know what kind of diet is the best for humans. But why would they say it? Why would they say it? Ask yourself. They don't need to say it. Like they would be happy if there are more sick people so people can go to hospitals and like get their medicines and stuff, right? So that was the reason I pointed this out. And this is your favorite, food pyramid. So I hope you're going to take some notes and you're going to understand that a lot of these things that people say is just the balance advice or whatever. It's not going to work out. You're going to have like an average health and average body. So it's up to you. Now, you're going to be like, okay, after all this information, what am I supposed to do, right? Let me put you on. We're going to have some action steps. So apply everything, all these things that I'm going to tell you. Number one, first thing that you're going to do is update your self-image, okay? You have to update your self-image and your identity. Who do you want to become? Visualize that person that you want to become. Visualize what type of things that person does, the daily habits, the feelings that if that person feels. How do you view yourself? All those things makes a massive difference. So update your identity to a person who eats healthy, who is a healthy eater, who trains hard, who's an athlete, who's an example for the family and the friends. Become that person. And that's how you update your self-image, okay? So when you shifted your self-image and you see yourself as a person of that caliber, then you need to work backwards from that ideal version of yourself and do the exact habits, okay? So first, identify what you want and identify who you want to become and see, okay, how do I feel there? Now, work backwards from that version of yourself and apply all the single habits, everything, right? So if you're like, let's just say you want to be a soccer player, professional soccer player, and you see yourself as a person who gets like crazy amounts of goals and assists, go there, see how you feel that, and understand like there are people out there who are getting similar statistics, right? As an athlete, as a soccer player, right? As a football player. Go see what they do in their life. Work backwards. Say, okay, they wake up at this time, they eat this, they train like 5 a.m. or they train at 8 a.m. They do like a 5-kilometer run or something, and they go to the gym, they come back, they go to their team training. See what they do, work backwards, and do it for yourself. Just copy and paste. Simple. Now, the next part, the action 3. Write down your why and for your who. Again, remember, the part that we went over, this part, who are you doing it for and what are you doing it for, right? So understand, who is the person that you want to actually help, or like not help necessarily, but you want to set an example and you actually want to do it for that person to be proud of you, right? So for me, it's my future wife, even though she's not here, but just for example, right? And also your why. What's your why? Why do you want to do this? Okay. Now, step number 4, identify your limiting beliefs and eliminate them. Remember some of these limiting beliefs that I told you? Maybe there's some things that I didn't put down, but I'm saying like for you, just see, okay, what are some things that I feel like are holding me back? Let me ask myself, what if it's wrong? What if I am the problem? What if it's not necessarily the things I'm thinking about? Maybe it's just me. Maybe I have limiting beliefs. Understand, write it down and see, okay, how can I remove this? Identify your weak points. Number 5, you need to create a sustainable diet for the long term, okay? So create a diet that you think you can stick to forever, pretty much. And you can just bring the amount a bit higher or lower depending on your goal. And personally for me, I recommend the low carb diet. Why do I recommend that to a lot of people? Because 99% of people are not athletes. 99% of the people are not competing. 99% of people are working in office jobs. They're working at home. They're not really doing any physical labor. And the extra carb energy that you think it's going to help you with your energy or whatever, I don't think it's going to help you. And also, I think it's going to actually hold you back because of the brain fog and all the sluggishness, okay? So that's why I recommend the low-carb diet, because it's going to be super easier for you to maintain a good health, maintain your hormonal balance, and also your dopamine receptors are not going to be fried if you like constantly eat crazy amounts of processed sugar and all this bread and like crazy amounts of rice or whatever, like fast food and all these things. Your hormones are going to be much more normal, much more like calm and relaxed. They're not going to be like going up and down like crazy. And that's why I recommend it, and that's the diet I'm on it, okay? And number 6, this is super important because after all this information, you need to start now and apply the plan religiously, okay? I don't know why I put D religiously. There we go. Apply the plan religiously, okay? So start now, start taking action and plan it. Apply the plan religiously every single day. Even if you fail, even if you slip up, just tell yourself, I'm not going to let go. I'm going to stick to the plan. Because that's the person I'm becoming. That's the price I'm paying. Remember, everything that you want to do, everything worthwhile has a price to pay. So understand that and drill it in your brain. Everything worthwhile has a price to be paid for. Now, remember, this is a bonus, like a bonus thing that I also put there. Actually, I kind of said it. But every time you mess up, remind yourself of the step number 1, okay? So let's just say you ate... You're on like a good diet, right? And then you just end up eating a burger or something, right? Remember, go to step 1. What was step 1? Update your identity and your self-image, or kind of visualize this part. So you're like, okay, the first part is the identity. So every time you slip up, just go to this identity section. Remember who you are. This is the easiest thing, right? So I'm just going to add it here. So every time you mess up, remind yourself of your new identity. I'm just going to put the new identity. Of your new identity, okay? So, every time you fail, go there and understand, okay, yeah, I failed, but what would the person that I want to become, what would that person do? Are you going to give up? No, the person is going to continue on their journey. Simple as that. So that's one of the things that has been helping me a lot. And whenever I remind myself of my new identity, I'm like, okay, who am I? Like the identity, that person that I want to become. Who is that person? What's he gonna do after this mistake? Boom. You go back to your like momentum and you continue what you do. Okay. And this is my favorite word that I like. This is my motto for my channel: abundance through excellence. What do I mean by that? If you want to have abundance in your life, if you want to become an abundant person, you need to become excellent. Without excellence, you cannot have abundance. Okay? And having a great diet, having consistency with your diet, having a healthy diet, being healthy, being fit, is part of the excellency plan. If you want to become an excellent human being, this is part of it. You have to do it. So that's going to give you abundance in health. It can give you abundance with your social life. The friends that you're going to make, you're going to be able maybe to make like a lot of friends that are fit, that you're going to go on runs with them. You see? A lot of things are connected to each other. And all these things that I gave you, they're fundamentals, they're principles that can be pretty much applied to a lot of things. And this is how I was able to actually stay consistent and get like a physique like this. And also this physique, in 2-3 months, I'm going to shit on this physique. I'm just being honest. In 2-3 months, I'm going to destroy this physique easily. Because I've been upgrading myself. I've been updating my mindset, because even my mindset, there is levels to this. There is levels to this, right? But for now, I give you the main fundamentals for you to apply. And I guarantee you, when you apply all these things, you're not going to struggle with consistency with your diet, because you're going to be the new version of yourself, okay? So remember, the final thing I'm going to say, abundance through excellence. You cannot achieve abundance without excellence. Make sure to share some of your questions in the comments. I'm going to be happy to answer that. And let me know if you have other questions. And listen, this video, I really love making it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.